There comes a moment in every person's life when a painful truth quietly reveals itself. It does not arrive with noise. It does not announce itself. It simply appears through experience. Many people spend their entire lives searching for someone who will finally make them feel complete. They believe peace will arrive when they find the right friend, the right partner, the right mentor, or the right group of people who understand them. This belief feels comforting because it places the responsibility for happiness outside of themselves. It creates the illusion that one conversation, one relationship, or one person's approval will solve the emptiness they carry inside. But life has a way of revealing a different truth. The more you depend on others to protect your peace, the more vulnerable your peace becomes. Every compliment lifts you higher, and every criticism pushes you lower. Your emotions begin to move according to other people's opinions instead of your own values. Think about how often your mood changes because of someone else's actions. A delayed reply makes you anxious. A cold expression makes you question yourself. A small disagreement ruins your entire day. Without realizing it, you hand over the controls of your emotional life to people who may not even know they possess that power. The problem is not their behavior. The problem is that your inner stability depends on something you cannot control. As long as your peace relies on another person's consistency, your peace will always be uncertain because people are naturally inconsistent. They have their own struggles, fears, responsibilities, and changing emotions. Expecting them to always provide comfort is expecting something that no human being can sustain. True strength begins the moment you stop asking the world to carry what only you can carry. Your peace is not a gift someone else should deliver to you. It is a discipline you must build every single day. That discipline starts with becoming aware of your own reactions, instead of immediately blaming others for how you feel. When disappointment appears, observe it instead of feeding it. When loneliness arrives, sit with it instead of escaping from it. Every uncomfortable emotion contains a lesson, but only if you have the courage to remain present, instead of searching for someone to rescue you. People will always enter and leave your life. Some will support you for years. Others will disappear without explanation. Some will celebrate your victories, while others will quietly distance themselves when your path changes. If your emotional balance depends on who stays, then your life will always feel unstable. Instead, allow every relationship to become something you appreciate rather than something you desperately need. Gratitude creates freedom, while dependence creates fear. The more afraid you are of losing people, the more likely you are to abandon yourself just to keep them close. Emotional independence does not mean becoming cold or refusing kindness. It means learning that your confidence cannot be borrowed from another person's opinion. It means waking up each morning with values that remain unchanged regardless of who praises you or who ignores you. When someone respects you, accept it with gratitude. When someone misunderstands you, remain calm without feeling the need to convince them. Your worth does not increase because someone admires you, and it does not decrease because someone fails to recognize it. There is a quiet confidence that develops when you stop chasing reassurance. You begin making decisions because they align with your principles rather than because they earn approval. You stop measuring yourself against other people's expectations. You become less reactive to criticism because your identity is no longer built on fragile opinions. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen your character instead of another reason to seek comfort from outside sources. The strongest individuals are not those surrounded by endless support. They are the ones who have learned how to support themselves during difficult seasons. They understand that discipline is more reliable than motivation, self-respect is more dependable than praise, and inner peace is more valuable than temporary acceptance. Instead of waiting for someone else to believe in them, they continue improving quietly. Instead of searching for constant validation, they invest their energy in becoming wiser, calmer, and more resilient. Their happiness is no longer held hostage by changing relationships or unpredictable circumstances because they have learned to create stability from within rather than searching for it in the hands of others. One of the greatest sources of pain in life is not what people do to you, but what you expected them to do instead. Expectations are invisible stories that you create in your mind. You assume someone will understand your silence because you would understand theirs. You believe they will appreciate your sacrifices because you would appreciate theirs. You think they will remain loyal because you have chosen to be loyal. Yet every person sees the world through a different set of experiences, priorities, and values. When reality fails to match the picture you created in your mind, disappointment appears. The pain often comes not from the event itself, but from the distance between expectation and reality. Many relationships begin with hope, but they become heavy because of unspoken demands. You expect your friends to always support your decisions. You expect your family to recognize your efforts. You expect your colleagues to treat you fairly. None of these expectations are spoken aloud, yet they quietly shape how you interpret every interaction. When someone fails to meet those expectations, frustration grows. You begin questioning their intentions, their loyalty, and even their character. In many cases, they were never aware of the standards you had placed upon them. They were simply living according to their own understanding while you were measuring them against your private expectations. This does not mean people should not be trustworthy or respectful. It means that your peace should not depend on every person behaving exactly as you hope. Human beings are imperfect. They make mistakes, become distracted, change their priorities, and sometimes disappoint even those they genuinely care about. If you expect perfection from imperfect people, you are preparing yourself for endless frustration. The wiser approach is to accept people as they are before deciding how much trust and responsibility to place in them. When expectations become too high, they begin to control your emotions. A delayed message feels like rejection. A forgotten promise feels like betrayal. A different opinion feels like disrespect. Small events become large emotional burdens because they collide with the image you created in your mind. Instead of observing reality clearly, you react to the version of reality you imagined. This habit slowly steals your peace because your emotional state depends on circumstances that you cannot control. Freedom begins when you replace expectation with awareness. Observe people carefully instead of imagining who they should become. Let their actions reveal their character over time. Listen more than you assume. Accept what is in front of you instead of becoming attached to what could be. This mindset does not make you negative or suspicious. It makes you realistic. It allows you to appreciate genuine kindness without demanding it from everyone you meet. There is also an important difference between standards and expectations. Standards protect your self-respect. Expectations often seek to control outcomes. You can maintain high standards by choosing honest, respectful, and dependable people in your life. At the same time, you release the need for everyone to think, behave, or respond exactly as you would. This balance creates healthier relationships because they are built on acceptance rather than constant disappointment. Appreciation grows stronger when it is not tied to entitlement. A kind word means more when you did not demand it. Loyalty feels more valuable when it is freely given rather than expected. Support becomes more meaningful when it is offered without obligation. Every genuine act of kindness becomes a gift instead of something you believed you were owed. This shift changes the way you experience relationships. Instead of constantly counting what others failed to do, you become aware of what they genuinely choose to contribute. As you release unnecessary expectations, your mind becomes quieter. You spend less time replaying conversations, questioning motives, and carrying resentment. You stop chasing explanations for every disappointment because you understand that people are responsible for their choices, just as you are responsible for your reactions. Rather than trying to change everyone around you, you invest your energy in strengthening your own character, developing patience, practicing understanding, and protecting your inner peace from being controlled by the unpredictable behavior of others. Most people are afraid of being alone because they confuse solitude with loneliness. They believe that if they are not surrounded by friends, conversations, and constant activity, something must be wrong with their lives. This fear pushes them toward endless distractions. They fill every quiet moment with noise, every empty space with entertainment, and every uncomfortable feeling with the presence of other people. Yet the very silence they avoid is often the place where real transformation begins. Solitude is not a punishment. It is an opportunity to meet the person you have been avoiding for the longest time, yourself. When you are alone, there is no audience to impress. There is no need to perform, explain, or seek approval. The masks you wear around others slowly begin to disappear. You can no longer hide behind conversations or social expectations. In that quiet space, your thoughts become louder. Your fears become visible. Your habits reveal themselves. At first, this can feel uncomfortable because solitude removes every distraction that once kept you from facing your inner world. But discomfort is often the beginning of growth, not the end of it. Many people spend years trying to change their circumstances without first understanding themselves. They search for better jobs, better relationships, and better opportunities, while carrying the same fears, insecurities, and unhealthy patterns wherever they go. Solitude interrupts this cycle. It forces you to stop looking outward and begin looking inward. Instead of asking why life is unfair, you begin asking how you can become stronger. Instead of blaming people for your emotions, you start taking responsibility for your reactions. This shift changes everything, because true strength is built from the inside before it is ever reflected on the outside. Silence has a unique way of revealing the truth. Without constant noise, you begin to notice how much of your life has been driven by habits instead of intention. You recognize how often you seek validation instead of self-respect. You see how frequently you compare yourself to others, rather than measuring yourself against your own potential. These realizations are not meant to discourage you. They are invitations to grow. Awareness is always the first step toward meaningful change. Discipline is also born in moments of solitude. It is easy to stay committed when people are watching or encouraging you. It is much harder to continue when no one notices your effort. The early morning workout, the extra hour of study, the quiet practice of meditation, the decision to keep your promises to yourself. These habits are formed when you are alone. Character is not built during moments of applause. It is built during moments of silence. When you choose to do what is right, no one will ever know. Solitude also teaches emotional resilience. When you stop relying on constant company, you discover that your peace does not disappear simply because you are by yourself. You learn to enjoy your own thoughts instead of running from them. You begin to appreciate simple moments, a walk without distractions, a quiet sunrise, the sound of your own breathing, the opportunity to reflect without interruption. These experiences strengthen your connection with yourself, making you less dependent on external approval and more confident in your own judgment. The world often encourages endless business. It praises those who are constantly occupied, constantly connected, and constantly available. Yet a busy mind is not always a peaceful mind. Without moments of stillness, you lose the ability to think clearly. Your decisions become reactions instead of conscious choices. Solitude creates the space needed to slow down, observe your thoughts, and respond with wisdom rather than impulse. It allows you to separate temporary emotions from lasting values, helping you act with intention instead of habit. As you become comfortable with being alone, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop fearing rejection because your happiness no longer depends on constant acceptance. You stop chasing every invitation because you no longer believe your worth is measured by how many people surround you. You become more selective about the company you keep because you have discovered that peace is too valuable to exchange for meaningless attention. You realize that being alone is far better than being surrounded by people who drain your energy, weaken your discipline, or pull you away from the person you are striving to become. In that quiet space, your mind grows clearer, your purpose becomes stronger, your confidence becomes steadier, and your actions begin to reflect a level of inner strength that cannot be borrowed from anyone else. One of the hardest lessons in life is accepting that not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. People arrive for different reasons. Some walk beside you during moments of growth. Others appear to teach you difficult lessons. A few leave lasting memories, while many quietly fade away without explanation. The pain begins when you refuse to accept this natural cycle. You hold on to people who have already decided to let go. You replay old conversations, search for hidden meanings, and wonder what you could have done differently. The more tightly you hold on to someone who is already walking away, the more energy you lose chasing something that no longer belongs to your journey. Many people believe that if they try harder, become kinder, or sacrifice more of themselves, they can convince others to stay. They silence their opinions to avoid conflict. They ignore disrespect because they fear being abandoned. They constantly give without receiving, hoping their loyalty will eventually be returned. But relationships built on fear are never healthy. If someone only remains in your life because you keep abandoning your own needs, then you are not preserving a relationship. You are slowly losing yourself. There is wisdom in recognizing when someone has already made their decision. Not every goodbye is spoken aloud. Sometimes people leave emotionally long before they leave physically. Their effort disappears. Their interest fades. Their priorities change. Instead of accepting these signs, many people continue chasing explanations that may never come. They believe closure can only be found through another conversation. In reality, closure often begins the moment you stop demanding answers from someone who has already chosen silence. Letting people leave does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop forcing what no longer flows naturally. Life becomes much lighter when you understand that every relationship requires two willing participants. One person cannot carry the weight forever. No amount of effort can replace another person's willingness to remain present. You may influence someone through kindness and honesty, but you cannot control their choices. Trying to control what belongs to someone else's freedom only creates frustration. Every ending creates space for something new. When you continue holding on to relationships that have already reached their natural conclusion, you leave little room for new experiences, healthier connections, and personal growth. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents resentment, regret, or attachment to someone who has already moved on. The longer you carry that weight, the harder it becomes to walk toward your future. Releasing the burden does not erase the memories. It simply allows you to move forward without being slowed by them. Your value is not determined by who chooses to stay. Some people leave because their priorities change. Others leave because your paths no longer align. Some leave because they are dealing with struggles you cannot see. Their departure is not always a judgment of your worth. Yet many people immediately begin questioning themselves whenever someone walks away. They assume they were not good enough, interesting enough, or deserving enough. This way of thinking gives other people far too much authority over your self-image. Strong character is built by accepting reality instead of resisting it. When someone leaves, you have a choice. You can spend months trying to reopen a closed door, Or you can use that same energy to strengthen your own life. Every hour spent chasing someone who has already chosen another direction is an hour taken away from becoming wiser, healthier, and more disciplined. Growth demands that you invest your attention where it can create positive change, rather than where it only creates emotional exhaustion. There is also dignity in letting people make their own choices without resentment. You do not need to speak badly about those who leave. You do not need revenge to heal. You do not need to prove your worth by showing them what they lost. Quietly continuing your journey is often the strongest response. Peace grows when you stop measuring your progress by who is walking beside you and begin measuring it by the person you are becoming each day. As you learn to release unhealthy attachments, your relationships become healthier because they are built on freedom rather than fear. You begin appreciating people without trying to possess them. You value loyalty without demanding it. You understand that those who truly belong in your life will choose to remain through honesty, mutual respect, and shared values rather than obligation. Instead of chasing people who have already turned away, you direct your energy toward building your character, protecting your peace, and walking forward with quiet confidence, regardless of who decides to continue the journey beside you. Many people spend years searching for someone they can completely trust, someone who will never disappoint them, never leave them, and never fail to understand them. While genuine relationships are valuable, there is one relationship that will remain with you from the day you are born until your final breath: the relationship you have with yourself. Every decision you make, every challenge you face, every victory you celebrate, and every mistake you learn from is experienced through your own mind. If you neglect this relationship while investing all your energy into others, you build your life on an unstable foundation. Becoming your own strongest companion is not about rejecting people. It is about ensuring that your inner strength does not depend on anyone else's presence. The first step toward becoming your own greatest source of strength is learning to trust yourself. Many people constantly seek advice before making even the smallest decision. They become afraid of choosing their own path because they fear making mistakes. While guidance can be helpful, there comes a point where you must listen to your own judgment. Confidence is not built by always making perfect decisions. It is built by accepting responsibility for the decisions you make and learning from every outcome. Every challenge you overcome strengthens your ability to rely on yourself rather than waiting for someone else to tell you what to do. Keeping promises to yourself is another powerful way to build inner trust. Think about how easily people lose confidence after repeatedly breaking their own commitments. They promise to wake up early but press the snooze button. They promise to exercise but postpone it until tomorrow. They promise to stop unhealthy habits but continue making excuses. Each broken promise sends a quiet message to the mind that your own words cannot be trusted. Over time, this weakens your confidence. On the other hand, every promise you keep, no matter how small, reinforces the belief that you are dependable. Discipline is not only about achieving goals. It is about proving to yourself that your commitment has meaning. Self-respect grows from consistent action rather than temporary emotion. Many people wait until they feel motivated before taking action, but motivation is unpredictable. Some mornings it appears effortlessly, while on others it disappears without warning. If your progress depends on motivation, your growth will always be inconsistent. Discipline teaches you to act according to your values instead of your feelings. You continue moving forward because you made a commitment, not because you feel inspired. This habit slowly transforms the way you see yourself. You stop identifying as someone who starts and quits. You become someone who finishes what they begin. Becoming your own strongest companion also requires learning how to speak to yourself with honesty instead of constant criticism. Many people become their own harshest enemy. They replay every failure, magnify every weakness, and ignore every achievement. If another person spoke to you with the same negativity, you would probably distance yourself from them. Yet many carry this destructive inner voice every day. Honest self-reflection is necessary for growth, but constant self-condemnation only creates fear and hesitation. A strong mind acknowledges mistakes without allowing them to define identity. It recognizes weaknesses while believing they be improved through consistent effort. Another important lesson is learning to enjoy your own company. Many people become uncomfortable whenever they are alone because they have never developed a healthy relationship with themselves. They immediately search for distractions, conversations, or entertainment to avoid silence. But when you become comfortable spending time with yourself, you discover a sense of freedom that cannot be taken away. You no longer depend on constant attention to feel valuable. You no longer fear moments of solitude because they become opportunities for reflection, planning, renewal. Your habits shape the relationship you have with yourself more than your thoughts alone. Every healthy choice becomes an act of self-respect. Every disciplined routine strengthens your confidence. Every difficult decision you make in favor of long-term growth instead of short-term comfort reminds you that you are capable of leading your own life. Small actions repeated consistently create a quiet form of strength that does not require recognition from others. Whether it is reading instead of wasting time, exercising instead of making excuses, or remaining calm instead of reacting impulsively, each decision becomes evidence of the person you are becoming. When you become your own strongest companion, you stop expecting others to carry responsibilities that belong to you. You no longer wait for someone else to motivate you before taking action. You no longer depend on praise to believe in your abilities. You become steady during uncertainty because your confidence comes from your character rather than changing circumstances. Instead of chasing approval, you focus on earning your own respect through daily discipline, consistent integrity, thoughtful decisions, and unwavering commitment to becoming a person whose strength begins from within and remains unshaken regardless of who walks beside you or who chooses to walk away. The strongest life you can build is one that does not depend on another person's approval, presence, or permission. Many people unknowingly build their happiness on foundations they cannot control. They rely on compliments to feel confident, on friendships to feel valuable, on relationships to feel complete, and on recognition to feel successful. At first, this seems natural because human beings are social by nature. But when your emotional stability depends entirely on external factors, your peace becomes fragile. The moment someone changes their opinion, walks away, or fails to meet your expectations, the entire foundation begins to shake. A life built on dependence is always vulnerable because it is controlled by circumstances outside your reach. Real freedom begins when you understand that your greatest source of strength must come from within. This does not mean isolating yourself or refusing meaningful relationships. It means refusing to let your identity be defined by them. Your character should remain steady whether people praise you or criticize you. Your purpose should remain clear whether others support your dreams or doubt them. When your direction is guided by principles instead of popularity, you become far less affected by temporary opinions. You stop changing yourself simply to fit into places where you were never meant to belong. Purpose is one of the strongest foundations a person can develop. Without purpose, every obstacle feels overwhelming because there is no larger reason to continue. With purpose, difficulties become part of the journey rather than signs to quit. A clear purpose gives direction to your actions and meaning to your sacrifices. It reminds you why you wake up early, why you continue learning, and why you choose discipline over comfort. People may come and go, but a meaningful purpose remains. It becomes the quiet force that keeps you moving even when nobody is watching. Resilience is another pillar of an independent life. Challenges are unavoidable. There will be moments of failure, rejection, misunderstanding, and loss. If your ability to recover depends on someone else encouraging you every time you struggle, your progress will always be limited. True resilience develops when you learn to encourage yourself. You remind yourself that setbacks are temporary, mistakes are opportunities to learn, and difficult seasons do not define your future. Instead of waiting for someone to rescue you, you begin searching for solutions within yourself. Every challenge you overcome becomes proof that you are stronger than you once believed. Inner peace also requires accepting what you cannot control. Many people waste enormous amounts of energy trying to manage other people's thoughts, choices, and reactions. They constantly worry about being misunderstood, judged, or rejected. Yet no amount of effort can guarantee how another person will think. The only mind you can truly guide is your own. Once you recognize this truth, your attention naturally shifts inward. Instead of trying to control every situation, you focus on controlling your responses. Calm replaces anxiety because your energy is invested where it can actually make a difference. Building an independent life also means becoming responsible for your own growth. Stop waiting for the perfect mentor to appear before you begin learning. Stop waiting for ideal conditions before taking action. Stop waiting for someone else's confidence before believing in your own potential. Progress belongs to those who take responsibility for their development, even when the path is uncertain. Every book you read, every skill you practice, every habit you improve becomes another brick in the foundation of a life that cannot easily be shaken. There is a quiet confidence that develops when you know you can face life on your own, if necessary. You appreciate support without becoming dependent on it. You enjoy companionship without fearing solitude. You celebrate success without becoming attached to recognition. This balance allows you to experience relationships from a place of strength instead of need. You are free to love people deeply while understanding that your peace is not owned by anyone else. As your foundation grows stronger, your decisions become clearer. You stop compromising your values simply to gain acceptance. You stop remaining in unhealthy environments because you fear starting over. You stop chasing temporary validation because you have discovered something far more valuable: lasting self-respect. Your confidence is no longer built on applause, but on consistency. Your happiness is no longer based on comfort, but on purpose. Your strength is no longer measured by the number of people standing beside you, but by your ability to remain grounded when life becomes uncertain. When your life is rooted in discipline, resilience, wisdom, and inner peace, no departure can destroy your stability, because the foundation you have built exists within your own character, rather than the unpredictable actions of other people. So stop chasing people. Stop waiting for loyalty. Start becoming trustworthy. Stop seeking constant validation. Start creating undeniable value. Because when your life is built upon discipline, wisdom, patience, and self-respect, you no longer fear who stays or who leaves. You understand that your greatest strength has never been another person. It has always been the person you choose to become.